G'day guys, and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video I will be going through my official AFL finals predictions. Now remember guys, these are just my opinions, so please take them with a grain of salt. I'm normally wrong when it comes to this, and usually I take majority of the favourites, the teams that are more favoured to win these games. However, I might go some upsets here. So I've obviously looked through some stats for some of these games. So to start things off, Sydney taking on the Giants here in the first qualifying final. Sydney have been a better team against GWS. There's no denying that. However, the Giants have actually never lost a finals game to Sydney. So pretty sure that's true. I have done my fact checking, so if the website I used is wrong, I apologise. But so recent form though, Sydney have won 4 of their last 5 games over the Giants. Now, with that being said, and while Sydney are in a little bit of a hot streak at the moment, I reckon the Giants can upset them here. I just think the Giants in big games, especially against their rivals, have actually stood up and played really well. So I'm going to back the Giants in a bit of an upset here. Is it an upset? I don't know, but I reckon the Giants get the job done here and continue their strong finals run against the Swans. All right, next up, we've got the Lions against the Blues. Both sides have a pretty good record. The Lions have a pretty good record against the Blues, but the Blues record isn't bad. The Lions have a slightly better finals record over the Blues. I'm not too sure exactly on the stats with that one, but I know they do have a slightly better record. And I think they've only played a handful of games, but the Lions have won more than the Blues. Brisbane have also won 4 of their last 5 games against the Blues. The Blues were realistically quite lucky to make finals, in my opinion. The Lions have fallen off a little bit, but I think at the Gabba, I think it'll be pretty close to a sellout, to be fair. Lions should win this one, and I think they'll win it quite comfortably as well. So I'm going to back them in there, which means the Blues Blues fans, eliminated. All right, the Bulldogs versus the Hawks. The Doggies have won 3 of their last 5 games against Hawthorn. Hawthorn do have a better overall record against the Bulldogs, and they also have a slightly better record in the finals against the Dogs. I reckon this game is going to be one of the best in week 1, to be honest. I actually think 3 out of these 5 games are going to be 3 out of these 4 games are going to be very close. I think the Bulldogs and Hawks will probably be the best game, in my opinion. I think both of them are quite evenly matched. Hawthorn, they started the season pretty poor, but they ended it, I think, as one of the best teams in the comp, to be honest. The Bulldogs, about the same, to be honest. They've ended the season really strong. I've seen a lot of power rankings having these 2 teams as sort of that top 3 sort of power rank with the Swans there. So I think this is going to be a tough game either way. I'm backing the Hawks in this one, but I don't think there'll be too much in it, to be honest. All right, next up, we've got the Port Adelaide Power against the Geelong Cats. Port Adelaide tend to struggle against Geelong. Geelong seem to have a much better record over the Port Adelaide Power. Geelong have won 3 of their last 5 games against the Cats. Port Adelaide have won their last 2 finals matches against Geelong. However, Geelong have a better overall finals record. With this being played in Adelaide, I do think Port Adelaide probably do get the win here, but I don't think Geelong will make it easy. I think Power, I think they'll get through, but I think the Cats will definitely make it difficult. So I'm going to back in Port Adelaide in that one. All right, we're on to the semi-finals. So we've got the Brisbane Lions against the Swans, the Geelong Cats against the Hawks. I'm not going to lie, I think the Lions are a great team. Obviously, I'm a West Coast fan, but I live in Queensland, so I do have a bit of a soft spot for the Brisbane Lions. I just think they've sort of fallen off a cliff at the moment. They're not playing the same footy we're used to seeing from the Lions. They're not dominant. they sort of finished the year how they started it, pretty disappointing to be fair. Yeah, they made the top the top 8, but they probably should have done a little bit better, to be honest. I think the Swans win this one. I don't see a world where the Lions really trouble them too much in this one. I'm backing in the Swans, so the Lions eliminated. Next up is a classic. These two teams used to play each other all the time in finals. There was a period where they were going back and forth, winning the premiership, just over a decade ago. So, or even less than that, to be honest. But I think this could be one of the games of the finals, to be honest. Geelong playing relatively well to end the season, but Hawthorn, they're on another level, man, ending the season. However, finals footy is different. Hawthorn, pretty young side. Again, I do think the Hawks will give the Cats a run for their money. Do I think they can beat the Cats? I don't know, to be honest. I might actually go a little bit of a sneaky upset here and back in Hawthorn to eliminate the Cats. You normally see one of those 5 to 8 sides pull off an upset. I reckon the Hawks could be one of those teams that do that. So I think they move through to the preliminary finals. Cats fans, I know you're going to come at me in the comments. That is fine. You're all entitled to your opinion. But yeah, I reckon the Hawks might cause a bit of a threat here. Again, though, I will say, as I said before, they are a very young side. Geelong, a very experienced side. They've been here. They've done it before. Are they going to be a better team? I don't know. We sometimes we do see those young teams step up. And I do think that at least one of these teams from 5 to 8 will make it to the preliminary finals. I think if the Dogs beat the Hawks in week 1, I reckon the Dogs could knock off Geelong as well. The Dogs are probably more smoky for a premiership threat, to be honest. If they can knock off Hawthorn, I reckon they can do it. But I don't know. I've just got a good feeling about the Hawks making it through as well. I'm rambling on a bit here. Let's just move on. Sydney and Hawks win the semis. All right, so we've got the preliminary finals. We've got the GWS Giants against the Hawthorn Hawks, and the Port Adelaide Power take on the Sydney Swans. This will be an interesting couple of games here, I think. I think the Giants-Hawks game will be a classic. It'll be very close, very entertaining. Over to Port Adelaide and the Swans. This will be a cracker as well. Power, they're a tough team to beat. They are a tough team to beat. Sydney started the season off extremely well. Obviously lost to Richmond in the first game, but after that, they bounced back and they've won quite a few tough games. They fell off a little bit towards the end of the middle of the season, if you know what I mean, and then sort of picked it back up at the end of the season. This one will be tough. I do think the Giants knock off the Hawks here. The Giants knock off the Hawks. I think Hawthorn will have a good run, but as I said, against Geelong, I'm hesitant because they're such a young side. I think if they do make it to prelims, I think they'll run out of gas this season. I do think they will be thereabouts next year as well. I probably would have them in a top 4 next season, depending on how their off-season goes. But yeah, I'm going to take the Giants to beat them here. I think the Giants will be too good. And I reckon Port Adelaide in Adelaide get the job done over Sydney. I think it's not as clear-cut as everybody thinks it is. I don't think Sydney are locked in for that premiership anymore. If you asked me about probably 10 weeks ago, I would have said Sydney, and it's not close. But now I think there's a good chance they get knocked out in the finals. All right, so that makes the grand final the GWS Giants against the Port Adelaide Power. How good is this one? Giants, I believe they'll be going for their first ever premiership. I don't think they've ever won one. I know they've been in at least one. Let me just fact check that. Yeah, where they got tailed up by Richmond. So they got tailed up by Richmond in 2019. But they have never won a grand final. So I'm just making sure that I've got the right information there. Never won a grand final. So that is interesting. Against Port Adelaide, who have only won one grand final, and that would have been against the Lions in 2004. unless I'm forgetting one. Look, I'll be honest with you, I know a bit about AFL, I know enough to get me through, but I am a rugby league fan, and I think most of you guys already know that. So I just want to fact check myself before I say something stupid, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. Port Adelaide Football Club. They have one premiership in 2004. All right, I just wanted to make sure I was right. I didn't want to get clipped and look like a fool. I already look like a fool, I know that. But all right, enough of that. GWS against Port Adelaide. Look, I think the Giants will. I think they'll be tough to beat, but this is both sides, not Melbourne sides either, which is interesting. But I've got Power winning their second premiership here. I do think that Port Adelaide get through. I love how that just goes down. I do think Port Adelaide get through there. I think they will be too good. I've actually had them probably 5 weeks ago. I actually had them in Sydney making the grand final, but I do think Sydney. If it was Sydney against Geelong in week 1, I'd probably have Sydney winning that one and Sydney making the grand final. But I just think the Giants are going to give them a good run for their money. So I think it'll be Giants Port Adelaide grand final in 2024. Let me know your predictions down below in the comments, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.